I'm back again. Hi. I wanted to make a little formal sort of update rather than just stupid videos of me in my pajamas and not looking my freshest. I've been in Korea for 7 days now, so 7 days left of quarantine. I wanted to talk a little bit about like my whole journey. What the flight was obviously a flight. Apart from that, I wanted to kind of share what the process was when I got to Incheon Airport, because there was a lot, like so many steps. It was a really long day also. I left from Vancouver at like 12 midday, and then I got to Busan at like 2 or almost 3 a.m. In Vancouver, I got to my boarding gate, and right away they ask you for like a proof of visa before you can even like board the gate. And they ask everybody to sign like a consent to quarantine form, basically because most foreigners who are there for a short-term visa, or all foreigners who are there for a short-term visa, are going to have to quarantine in the quarantine facility. You don't really have much of other choice, so you have to sign that paper, and you have to make sure you have it with you when you get to immigration in Seoul. But for me, I didn't have to because I'm technically on a long-term visa. I was able to just quarantine here in my own little apartment. Wow, the lighting keeps changing drastically. On the plane, there was like nobody, like almost nobody. I had the whole 2 seats next to me all to myself. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that surprised because I knew that many people would be traveling at this time. I took Air Canada. The food was really sad. The food was so sad. I mean, I guess they had to change their menu because of the virus. They gave us like just some basic, they weren't hot meal, like wraps and sandwiches. I digress. Finally, I arrived in Seoul. This is where like the craziness begins. Well, I wouldn't quite call it craziness. It was pretty orderly, but it was a lot. It was a lot. They set up like different booths, so each booth was for a different step through your immigration process. You'll go to a little desk, and they will give you a sheet that is like a travel declaration, so you have to say where you've been in the last, I think, 2 weeks. The other one is like all your information. You move on to the first table. There's 3 in total. They'll make sure that you install this app. Basically what it looks like. You have to self-diagnose 2 times every day. He sets up the whole thing for you. So you have a reporting officer who's kind of in charge of you during your quarantining. So it'll have their contact information, and you will move on to the next table. So, like, he verifies your contact information in Korea. So you're supposed to kind of put somebody's phone number who is staying in Korea, who can speak Korean, who can kind of vouch for you. So they will actually take that number down and they will call it. Third table had you fill out about 3 or 4 sheets, almost all asking exactly the same thing, like where you're staying, especially your date of birth, your passport number, the date that you're entering Korea. Then you get to the actual immigration. Get there and they ask for your declaration cards. They scan your fingerprints, and then finally you can go through. So I set out finally to get to Busan. Somebody would ask me like, oh, where are you going? And I say, oh, I'm going to Busan. They say, oh, how are you going to get there? Do you have a car here? I told him I'm taking a KTX, which is the train. So he pointed me towards where the KTX waiting area was. So basically it's a waiting area for the shuttle to take you from Incheon Airport to the closest KTX train station in Seoul. We waited outside for like maybe 10 minutes, and then the next bus came. I get on the shuttle bus and I'm just sitting there. I was at the back of the bus sitting on the only seat that's in the center. One seat that's like literally in the middle of the aisle. Nobody wanted to sit in that seat because it's awkward. In that one seat, surrounded by literally only Korean men. No Wi-Fi on the bus. No, I had no data. I still didn't have a Korean phone number. No idea what the hell's going on. This little Canadian girl in Busan alone for the first time. And I'm just sitting there like. We get to Gwangmyeon Station at 7:45. At this point, I checked my ticket. I realized that the departing time of the train is 9:45. Girl, it's 7:45. Well, maybe I can ask somebody else who's going to Busan. But then I was like, well, I can't speak Korean. So there's a train number too. So they will come down and say, okay, like this train is boarding now, please get in line. So I was just like waiting to listen to see if they were gonna call my train, but they weren't. So I was like, I mean, it must be, I guess, 9:45. So I just chill. It's like 8:45 for like that whole hour. I was like anxious. What if I miss my train? Like what if they call my train and I don't understand because they're calling it in Korean, obviously, and like my Korean is not that great. So I was kind of freaking out. There was this little like nook. So I go sit in that corner and there's another foreigner there. I feel so bad because I didn't actually get his name, but this guy was so nice to me and he made me feel so much more comfortable with the situation. And he ended up actually helping me with one of my luggages which were both way too heavy. But before that, like, we talked while we were waiting for the boarding time because we had about 1 hour. So we talked like, oh, where are you from? Turns out he's from a state that's very close to the province where I live. Yeah, he had actually been in Korea several times before. He was boarding the same train as me. The guy called our train number, so we decided to both get on together. I arrive in Busan. I take my heavy ass luggage off the train and they split us into 2 lines. We go through a line where they make us fill out more paperwork. We move on and they give us a little vial, one of those medical vials. And they say, okay, keep this. You're gonna give this to the person who's doing the COVID test. So I sit down, he just said, open your mouth. I take a swab at the very, very back of your throat. Not a very nice feeling. And then next they go on to doing a swab in your nose. They take a really, really long Q-tip and they shove it up there. Also not very comfortable. But then once it's over, it's over. You give them that vial. He puts your sample in there. And then he says, okay, you can move on to the last part of the line where the lady says, give me your little vial so that you can get your results. The process was over. Everything was done. My boyfriend pulls up and I was like, oh my God, you found me because I had no Wi-Fi. So he found me. And then I told the lady like, hey, like that's my boyfriend right there. So can I just like can I load my stuff in here and just go? And she was like, actually, like, how did your boyfriend get in here? And I was like, girl, I don't know. She's like, huh. We were all confused. I started loading my luggages and I was like, yay, like I'm finally almost free. I get in the car. So he takes me to my little place and I get in bed and I slept. So I am really looking forward to being free. So, as soon as I get out, I'm gonna film quite a lot of what I want to do. I already literally have a list of everything I want to do. I want to go get coffee. I want to go to a cafe. Freaking walk. Because I miss walking and being outside. I want to go to a freaking spa and I need to just soak myself for several hours. I want to go to PC방. So that's my plan and I think I'm going to film pretty much all of that. So please watch. Please stay tuned. Keep subscribing. I know a lot of you are watching but not subscribing. Please do that. So I appreciate all of you who are taking interest in my silly little adventures. Please keep watching. I will keep posting. I will see you next time. Bye bye.
I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their work